And good morning, Newton Falls, Ohio. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Lynch. I'm the city manager here in Newton Falls, Ohio. And this is our morning update, which we bring to you on Tuesday mornings and on Friday mornings, right about 7:30 in the morning. We started this programming on an everyday basis to deal with the COVID-19 issues. And we're still dealing with the COVID-19 issues here in Newton Falls, but you've seen the president's pressers and the governors, and we felt that on a local basis, if we had the opportunity to do that, we'd like to, as it relates to Newton Falls in particular. And thank you to Gregory Films for their kind help in this matter. Well, I want to get right to our first guest because throughout the state of Ohio, maybe the most significant question being dealt with here in Northeast Ohio is related to our educational opportunities and how the coronavirus has affected them, and in particular, the ever at the top of the mind concept of playing football in Ohio. Ohio, in some ways, is considered the birthplace of football. There are a lot of arguments in that regard, but certainly the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, is evidence of that, and the fact that Paul Brown, who some really refer to as the father of modern football, was somebody who coached right here in Ohio. And of course, we've had great football coaches all over the place. Woody Hayes, Lou Holtz originally coached here in Ohio. And so football is maybe the number one industry of the state of Ohio. Well, that's why I wanted to make sure, because the last few days have been a flurry of activity in terms of exchanging information and finally coming up with some answers about high school football for the Newton Falls Tigers. That's why I'm very proud that the guest on our live line right now is Tim McGlynn, and he's the athletic director for Newton Falls High School. Good morning, Tim. How are you?
Good. Good morning, Dave. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Yeah, well, we're delighted to have you on. Tim, first of all, can we say definitively, is there going to be a football season for Newton Falls this fall?
Yes, there is. We've came up with a league schedule throughout the state. Everyone has worked very fast, and we've all come up with a league schedule. There's going to be a 6-game schedule as of right now, and then a week 7 playoff. Everyone in the state makes the playoffs.
Okay, so I'll make sure I understand that because published, and we've taken a look at the 10-game schedule, but there's a published 10-game schedule, but right now the intention is to play a 6-game schedule with every team making the playoffs, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
Okay, all right. Now, because I see different dates for the games that were scheduled, what is the date and where is the first football game, an opponent for Newton Falls Tigers?
Our first date will be September 4th, and we will be traveling to Liberty.
All right, September 4th to Liberty, and then you'll play a straight 6-game schedule. Now, Tim, is that 6-game schedule published somewhere we can find it? Because some of us are still trying to find a way to see if we can figure out a way to broadcast those games here on Newton Falls Television. So we'd like to know some of that.
Yes, it's on our website, and I can send it over to you today through email or text, whatever's easier for you guys.
Okay. Now, as I understand it, Tim, there's an amazing twist to the football season because you're going to play a 6-game schedule. If you make the playoffs, well, there's no if you do. Everybody's in the playoffs, so everybody qualifies. But it's my understanding that if you're in the playoffs, you continue to play. It's sort of a single game elimination as you keep playing. But my understanding is that after that, you can still have additional football games. Is that true, Tim, or what can you tell me about that?
Yes. So how it's going to work is if you go into week 7, you first and foremost, you have an option of playing and not playing. So the state has given you that option. Mostly everyone will end up playing, but if you go into week 7, if you lose, you have a week 8, a week 9, and a 10 already scheduled. So if the school decides to continue to play, there's games there to play, and and our athletes get a 10-game schedule.
Okay, now go ahead. I'm sorry, Tim. You go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, but if you don't want to play that, you don't have to.
Okay, so the way I see the season, there's going to be a 6-game schedule. Game 7 is a playoff game, and you continue those playoffs. If you lose in the playoff game, Game 7, you can play Games 8, 9, and 10 that are already previously scheduled if both teams want to do that. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Now, Tim, here's the strange question and I'm sure you've heard questions like this. There's so many permutations and angles you can look at this thing, but I guess the first question is, if Newton Falls wins Game 7 in the playoffs, the week after that, there's a team scheduled for Game 8 that wanted to play Newton Falls that did not win in the playoffs. What do they do? They're kind of stuck, aren't they?
Well, there's a couple different options. You just don't play that week 8 and then you get ready for week 9, or you can find another team that has an opponent that won in their week 7 game that's playing week 8, and you guys can hopefully try to get together. But you don't have to play that week 8 game. You can just skip to week 9 if you would like.
Okay. Well, I suppose the next question then is, let's say Newton Falls does not win that playoff game. They're ready to play that game for Game 8, and that community that you were going to play for Game 8 did not win their playoff game either, and you're ready to play, but then that team says, no, we really don't want to play, because as I've heard you describe it, you can decide not to play some of those post-Game 7 games, but it doesn't count as a forfeit. What is it called?
I'll be honest with you. We've really not discussed that. It just basically turns into a bye week.
Okay. By the way, Tim, I appreciate an honest answer.
Yeah.
The answer is nobody knows.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And and the thing is, we've had a lot of discussions, with our league and different things like that. We've all tried to commit to 10 games, but the thing is, though, at some point, if something would happen with the COVID-19, everyone would come to a stoppage, and then we would wait for it to work out, and then the next winter sport would start after that.
Okay. Now, you also said something about teams having the option of not playing a game. Is that something that exists all throughout the season and into the playoffs, that you can, because of your own concerns about coronavirus, independent of any state guidelines, you can just decide not to play that game?
Yes, it turns out to be up to the school. The governor let it be known the other day on his press conference that it's up to the school on how we do our schedule. It's up to the school how we do our fans. And the thing is, if something would happen in our school and we have to shut down, we cannot have athletics.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you would have to basically get in touch with the next school you play, and you would have to tell them that you will basically be forfeiting this week, and then they would be getting ready for the next week.
Well, here's a scenario I'm envisioning is, but I guess the peculiar questions that emanate from all this, Tim. So Newton Falls plays the season. Let's say they go 4-2. After the 6th game, we decide it's not safe to play that 7th game, the playoff game, and we declare ourselves to be the state champions. What do you say, Tim?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we could. Yes.
All right. Well,
hey, Dave, kind of how Massillon did in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people don't know that. The Massillon Tigers did declare themselves to be state champions a few times, didn't they?
Yes, I believe it's 8 or 9 times, actually.
Wow, that is something. Well, Tim, we're going to stay in close contact with you because we are looking for a way to be able to broadcast the games. You mentioned something that's really fascinating, and that is that the fan composition in the stands is going to be up to the schools. Now, that means a lot to us over at Newton Falls Television, because one of the reasons we're working so hard to find a way to broadcast the games is we have a sense that people may not be able to be at the games in person. So have you established guidelines for fan involvement?
Yes. Mr. Crowder and I met yesterday, We've got all the measurements. So as of right now, we're allowing 3 people in per athlete, and that means football, band, cheerleading. And then after that, we will not be allowed to let anybody else in. So we're at 15% of our capacity, and that goes for volleyball. That goes for soccer. We're only allowing 3 people per athlete.
All right. And those 3 people per athlete, do you have a restriction in terms of the relation to that athlete, or is it just 3 people designated by that athlete?
Well, how we're going to do it is we're trying to make it family and immediate family. Mom, dad, little brother, mom, dad, if it's a grandparent. You know, and it's just this is going to be a very tough thing for every district because you know you don't know the different backgrounds of everybody, and you know, you know, it's going to be a really tough thing because you're not going to be able to fit everybody in everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, certain districts throughout our league, and our non-conference for soccer and volleyball, you know, they're only letting, some of these stadiums can only fit 2 people per athlete. So you know, so like over at LeBray's only allowing 2 people in. That's football, band, and cheerleading on a Friday night.
Yeah.
So you know, we're very thankful that we have a bigger stadium. We can do something like that.
Sure.
But you know, it's going to be a really, really tough thing because you're going to have to tell people they can't come and watch their grandbaby, their stepchild, you know, their close friend. They're not going to be able to come and watch them play a sport that they've watched for years.
Yeah, believe it or not, we're getting all kinds of questions in the city manager's office, one of which was the following question. Can a family who's got a lot of immediate family members, for example, Tim, I'm one of 10 children.
Oh my God.
If an individual has their 3 designated, but another individual doesn't have 3 because mom and dad are out of town and they're the only child in the family, and can they let those 3 tickets or 3 seats that they're not going to use be used by the Lynch family that has 10 kids?
Well, we're going to try to do it on a weekly basis.
Okay.
So how we're going to do it is we're going to try to do it by the roster, and every week we're going to update it, and the kid or the parent will choose who's going to come to the game. And like I said, it's going to be very tough because you know, volleyball and soccer, we play sometimes 3 a week. So we're going to be updating that. We're going to be updating that list almost every other day.
Sure.
So, yeah, you know, and that's the thing, you know, and the thing, like I said, it's going to be very tough because someone's going to be left out, and you know, we don't want anybody's feelings hurt, but this is how it has to be.
Yeah. Well, someone's always unhappy. Tim, tell me about volleyball because it's an indoor sport. And we covered a few of those volleyball games last year. They had an outstanding, as you know, championship season. Is the number 2 what's going to apply at least to the indoor gymnasium over in Newton Falls for volleyball?
We are at 3 people per student indoors.
Oh, for volleyball also. Oh, that's outstanding.
Also, yep. For every sport, we're 3. The only thing that we're having we're going to have to play some of our junior highs in our big gym because our junior high can only allow 56 people in at a time.
Right.
So we're going to try to mix and match and try to move some different things around to try and get our junior high into our big gym because we want our students, parents, and their grandparents to be there to watch them. You know, they deserve to support their families also. You know. So we're trying everything we can to try to max out what up to the number that we're supposed to have and try to make everything work out for everybody.
Sure. Tim, how are you dealing with the issue of the visiting team? For example, you talked about what a big stadium we have over in Newton Falls, but the visiting side is actually a smaller seating area than on the home side. Are the guidelines the same, or how does that work?
Well, it's still the same, but the only thing is with away football is our league has voted not to allow the away band and the away cheerleaders to come. So we can fit more people in the stands, and because we're counting the student athletes as part of our capacity, that allows us to let more people into our facility.
Sure, sure. All right, so for away games, the band and the cheerleaders are not permitted to travel. Is that a fair way of
That
putting it?
yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
All right. Well, Tim, these are tough times for you to maneuver through right now, and I appreciate your coming forward with these descriptions, the transparency, and the tremendous effort that you're making, Tim. And I know it's very difficult, and I can't imagine the carping that you're having to deal with, but the fact is that we're going to have a season, and the alternative of not having a season at all is certainly a lot worse than what you've been able to put together. And you have the responsibility to protect people as part of our educational institution. So thank you. We appreciate your hard work, and we appreciate your patience. And we are going to work hard to see what we can do to get some of these football games and volleyball games and maybe a little bit of soccer on Newton Falls television this season.
Absolutely, and we really appreciate you guys being able to do that. I believe our community really likes to see their kids, being able to watch them from their living room, and I really think that Greg does a fantastic job. And and if there's anything that we can do from our standpoint, from the athletic department, please let us know. We're always around, and we're always willing to help.
Well, we appreciate that very much. So, Tim, thanks. Have a great weekend, and we'll stay in touch
You
so
too.
we can organize things. Have a great weekend, and thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Sure, delighted. All right, that
Uh,
was Tim McGlynn, the athletic director for Newton Falls High School. Not an easy position to be in right now. The COVID-19 has changed an awful lot of things, and especially what's happening with the athletic programs. And, seniors especially look forward to their senior year in athletics, soccer, volleyball, football. And they're bending over backwards to find a way to make it happen. So here's hoping and praying that they can continue forward because, as you know, things are changing on an almost daily basis. My understanding is Trumbull County went back into the red zone in terms of the governor's scoring scale in terms of COVID-19 activities. So we have to be wary. Well, folks, that was certainly informational for all of us. And as I say at the end of each one of these broadcasts, God bless America and God bless the city of Newton Falls.
Hi, it's Sam Barker here from the